Hey folks, welcome to Guitar Daily. It's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. Should come as no surprise to anyone that I'm a Steely Dan fan. I love that band. It's like one of my favorite all-time bands. If I could play in any band, that would probably be one of the ones I'd want to do for sure, along with Sting and Peter Gabriel and a bunch of other people, but that would be a good place, right? So I thought today what I'd talk about is kind of some Steely Dan things that I've kind of borrowed. I'm not so much going to go into the soloing, but more kind of like conceptual things, harmony stuff, that kind of stuff. And hopefully it'll be useful to some people because this is stuff that I've stolen from them and I use all the time. So the first one I thought I'd talk about is how they make chords work chromatically. There's a real way that I'm sure it's Donald Fagen doing it at the piano because it seems like a piano player type thing. But if we take the tune Black Friday, right? That's a good example. We go... Right, we got that section, and then we have... We look at that, it kind of flows in and out of different keys. It doesn't all belong to the same key. And the reason it works is because of common tones, right? So if we look at this, A major, and then the next chord is G major 6, and we'll get to 6 chords soon. But see, it's got the E on the top, and then F sharp 7, E on the top, G6, right? And then we have E flat minor 7. I'll explain why that works in a minute. And then we have A over D, and then we have B over A, right? And so again, right? Now, the reason it works is because we have this, we're in the key of E to start with, right? And then we have, what's the next chord? Right, that's just that top note against the root note. And what you find with that is it's really just those two notes are the top notes. At least if you're voicing it like I am. And fits perfectly in the key of E, right? So it all works because of that reason, because there's a common tone that kind of links it all. And they tend to do this a lot, right? This kind of common tone linking of things. Deacon's Blues is another really good example. We have this idea. Right, that's going down chromatically. C, B, B flat, A. The first chord is C major 7. Next chord is G add 9 over B. I'll talk about that in a minute soon too. But G add 9 over B, but both share the G note on the top. Right, and then the next chord. If we look at what's going on top, it's G to F, right? And that all belongs to the key of C major, right? G and F are both in the C major scale, and that's why that makes sense. And then, right? And then here, right, we go up to E flat major, and then E7 sharp 9, right? So we went D with an A on the top, A major add 9 over C sharp. Again, I'll talk about that chord soon. Then C major with G note on the top. And then G add 9 over B with a G on the top. But then that goes to this E flat major 7. But again, G note on the top. E7 sharp 9 with a G on top, right? And I think that's why these things make sense, is because they've got this common tone that belongs to the home key that kind of links it all together. So I steal that. Whenever I'm writing tunes, I kind of look at ways, how can I like borrow from that? So something like, if I'm going to go from, say, I'm in the key of A minor, and I want to get from E minor to F, I'll go, right? And I could also go the other way. Or I could go, right? And all those chords that I'm moving through there, the chords aren't that important at the moment, but the point of it is I'm using that common tone to help them all link together. And I've noticed there's a very Steely Dan way to do it. And again, I think it's Donald Fagen with the piano, right? Because he probably holds a note here and goes, what can I move underneath it to make these kind of hip chord progressions? So that's the first thing I talk about. The second thing I talk about is that G add 9 over B chord that I was talking about a minute ago. This. It's a real big thing with the Steely Dan thing. For a long time, I remember people used to call this B minor 7 sharp 5. It's not. right? That's a really dumb way of calling that chord. Nothing about that sounds minor, does it? I don't get this kind of feeling from it at all. It's kind of bright and happy, right? Like a major chord. Really what it is G add 9, but with a B in the bass, right? B, A, D, G, root note on the top. So that's something that I use quite a bit, right? And I call that one of the Steely Dan chords. Alright, so the second Steely Dan chord I'll talk about, and this is one that I see a lot in their music and I steal all the time, is if I say I have a D chord, if I go up a fifth and play the triad, so I have an A triad over D. Now it's an interesting kind of sound, this sound, because it's not major or minor. There's no thirds. Root note, fifth, seventh, ninth. So it's kind of add 9. To me, it's major because it has that brighter sound. It doesn't sound like it's ever going to go to be minor. It's not that, but it's an interesting sound, isn't it? Because it's very ambiguous. And to me, it's very much a Steely Dan sound. And I use that quite a bit. And one way I use it, depending on whatever key I'm in, but say I'm in A minor, I'll go up to the 4 chord. So I'm in A, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm up to the 4 chord. And I go A over D. And then I go down a tone, and then down a tone. You'll have heard that before. Alright. And Josie, all those kind of tunes. And it works because, again, the top note all fits the key, even if the notes underneath don't. Same kind of concept, right? But that's the chord, right? Alright. We can play it like this too. E over A. It can be played any way you want, really. You could play it like this. Right. And like I said, as long as the top note belongs to the key, it'll all make sense. Another chord that I see Steely Dan using all the time is 6th chords, so this sort of thing. And it's funny because a lot of jazz musicians don't really use the 6th chord that much. I remember seeing an interview of George Benson, and he was saying that, I think it was Ron Carter said to him, hey, why don't you use the 6th chord, man? And because he was all with minor 7ths, right? And George Benson went, oh, damn, I have to go and figure these all out. But I see 6 chords quite a lot in Steely Dan tunes. I mean, Kid Charlemagne is a good example, right? After the... And then it goes... That chord, right? G major 6, F major 6, 9, B flat 13. Alright, it's that major 6 thing. Back to Deacon's Blues. And then G major 6, F major 6. Alright, there you go. And sus chords as well, but the 6th chord is something that I see them using quite a bit. So in Kid Charlemagne, Deacon's Blues, all of these tunes, the 6th chord comes in a bit more. And it's an interesting sound. It's definitely something, if I want to get more of a Steely Dan flavour, I'll put in my own writing. Last thing I'll talk about too is kind of funky grooves, right, that they kind of go with. So something like Josie, you know, we have that... all that intro stuff, right? And then all that sort of stuff, right? Where it's bass doubled with guitar. It's a really funky kind of groove. Right, you got that little riff in the middle of Josie and all these things, like they have these kind of way of playing things funky, but it's bluesy funk. It's not like it's funk James Brown. It's like got this funky kind of groove that's kind of rooted in the blues. Again, back to Black Friday. Back to Black Friday. It's kind of shuffly, but kind of got this funky element about it too. So that's something that I do, right? Is I incorporate these kind of funky grooves into my music, but with jazz harmony as well, you know? You know, all that stuff that's in Josie is really, it's like all jazz harmony through and through, right? So if you have these jazz harmony, funk grooves, the 5-chord triad over root note, the 6 chord, the chromatic chords all linked together by the thing, you got some real Steely Dan flavors in your playing and in your music. So these are just things that came to the top of my head. There's plenty more. Maybe I could do a part 2 in this. If you want to see a part 2, let me know in the comments below. If you like this, if you find it useful, then please like and subscribe. I really appreciate everyone who does that. Buy me a coffee's link below if you want to support the channel. So yeah, got some cool stuff coming up, some interviews, more stuff. I'll be at the NAMM show in January, so there'll be a whole lot of nerding out on guitar gear stuff. Looking forward to that. Yeah, otherwise I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.